Want to get creeped out? Let's talk about voodoo. And actually, it's because I went on a voodoo tour while I was in New Orleans. This tour was given by the Anansi daughters. Specifically, the tour guide that we had was Malika. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced her name. She is a high priestess of Louisiana plantation voodoo. And the tour, all of the information, it was just so beautiful. It was so well put together. I highly suggest taking this tour. And I just wanted to share a little bit of the knowledge that I learned while I was there. At least the most interesting parts that I can remember off the top of my head. I will have to at some point review the footage, and there will probably be more at that point that I want to share. When we think of voodoo and sticking pins in dolls and curses, we're really thinking about something called hoodoo. Voodoo, actually pronounced Voodoo. And I believe there is also some other ways that you can pronounce that as well. But voodoo is actually a really beautiful religion, has nothing to do with cursing people or sticking pins in dolls. The point of this video is to explain in the best way that I can how voodoo is really capitalizing still on slavery, to be honest, and racism. Obviously, white colonizers enslaved people of color. Many of these people of color did practice voodoo. In fact, at first, it was actually not seen as anything evil or bad at all. It's white colonizers who were enslaving people of color that villainized them, and voodoo became something that is scary and cursing and evil, when in reality, it's just not true. Unfortunately, a lot of the businesses in New Orleans that are voodoo, number one, aren't even Black owned. And number two, are literally just capitalizing on it's cursing people, it's sticking pins in dolls, and that's just not true. One of my favorite things that Malika talked about on this tour though, and it just actually touched my heart, to be honest, because I love folklore and oral history. People don't really believe oral history or oral traditions because they weren't written down. So it's like, was it a game of telephone? My tour was 2 months ago, so I'm going off of memory here. Malika, if you ever see this video, please correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm also so sorry if I said your name wrong. But I believe she did her initiation in Nigeria. And she was talking about how the voodoo culture and oral traditions that she learned in New Orleans are the same as they are in Nigeria. And these are people who have been practicing for a very fucking long time. The point is there were these oral traditions that were passed down to people who wound up in New Orleans, wound up enslaved. And these practices have been being practiced all from oral history, all from word of mouth. Malika goes to Nigeria and they are practicing the same practices there. The oral history, the oral traditions, they lasted. Spoken word, when you hear it 100 times and that is a part of your life, it's not just a game of telephone. And I think that's so interesting to apply to folklore in general and oral history in general and things that are discounted, because just because something isn't written down in history doesn't mean that it's not true. So let's just bear that in mind. And again, be careful when you are purchasing something or contributing to this culture of evil voodoo, because it's just not reality. It's not true. And it's actually a very beautiful religion that's been taken advantage of by white people. So let's try not to do that. Anyways, that's it for this one. See you next time. Want to get creeped out? Let's talk about voodoo. And actually, it's because I went on a voodoo tour while I was in New Orleans. This tour was given by the Anansi daughters. Specifically, the tour guide that we had was Malika. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced her name. She is a high priestess of Louisiana plantation voodoo. And the tour, all of the information, it was just so beautiful. It was so well put together. I highly suggest taking this tour. And I just wanted to share a little bit of the knowledge that I learned while I was there. At least the most interesting parts that I can remember off the top of my head. I will have to at some point review the footage, and there will probably be more at that point that I want to share. When we think of voodoo and sticking pins in dolls and curses, we're really thinking about something called hoodoo. Voodoo, actually pronounced Voodoo. And I believe there is also some other ways that you can pronounce that as well. But voodoo is actually a really beautiful religion, has nothing to do with cursing people or sticking pins in dolls. The point of this video is to explain in the best way that I can how voodoo is really capitalizing still on slavery, to be honest, and racism. Obviously, white colonizers enslaved people of color. Many of these people of color did practice voodoo. In fact, at first, it was actually not seen as anything evil or bad at all. It's white colonizers who were enslaving people of color that villainized them, and voodoo became something that is scary and cursing and evil, when in reality, it's just not true. Unfortunately, a lot of the businesses in New Orleans that are voodoo, number one, aren't even Black owned. And number two, are literally just capitalizing on it's cursing people, it's sticking pins in dolls, and that's just not true. One of my favorite things that Malika talked about on this tour though, and it just actually like touched my heart to be honest, because I love folklore and oral history. People don't really believe oral history or oral traditions because they weren't written down. So it's like, was it a game of telephone? My tour was 2 months ago, so I'm going off of memory here. Malika, if you ever see this video, please correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm also so sorry if I said your name wrong. But I believe she did her initiation in Nigeria. And she was talking about how the voodoo culture and oral traditions that she learned in New Orleans are the same as they are in Nigeria. And these are people who have been practicing for a very fucking long time. The point is there were these oral traditions that were passed down to people who wound up in New Orleans, wound up enslaved. And these practices have been being practiced all from oral history, all from word of mouth. Malika goes to Nigeria and they are practicing the same practices there. The oral history, the oral traditions, they lasted. Spoken word, when you hear it 100 times and that is a part of your life, it's not just a game of telephone. And I think that's so interesting to apply to folklore in general and oral history in general and things that are discounted, because just because something isn't written down in history doesn't mean that it's not true. So let's just bear that in mind. And again, be careful when you are purchasing something or contributing to this culture of evil voodoo, because it's just not reality. It's not true. And it's actually a very beautiful religion that's been taken advantage of by white people. So let's try not to do that. Anyways, that's it for this one. See you next time.
So what would y'all think is crazier? The fact that you found out that your coworker had been doing voodoo on you, or the fact that you found out from your boss? Scary story time. So this girl, let's call her Mary. Mary just graduated college. She is so excited because she just got a job offer, which is really good. It's her first big girl job and she's so excited about it. Within the first week of the job, she absolutely loves it. She loves her bosses. She loves her coworkers. And the feeling is vice versa. Like, her bosses love her, her coworkers like clicked instantly. Except for one coworker who seemed kind of standoffish. Now, let me add that Mary is really, really pretty. Like one of those girls that's like God's favorite. Perfect features, perfect body. Anyway, she didn't really mind that one coworker that was like standoffish because she doesn't judge. She's thinking that that coworker is probably just not a people person. And we all know somebody that's an introvert. Anyway, so about a month into the job, that same coworker who seems standoffish is kind of getting a little more on the nicer side. But mind you, that coworker is twice her age. She noticed that the coworker would always try to nitpick everything that she does. Like, even if she does a good job on a project, like, she'll find something small that she could have did better. Even though nobody else around, like, had a problem with it, even her bosses. It's just, like, little things like that that she would do all the time. But still cover it up with, like, oh, but girl, I love you. Like, you're so pretty, you're so nice. And so everything was going well until, like, as the months go by, that coworker just started to get meaner and meaner and meaner. And it got to a point where you could feel the tension when she walks into a room and Mary's there. Like, you can tell she does not like Mary. Now, don't get me wrong. All the other coworkers, like, they noticed it, but they all thought that she was crazy for not liking Mary. Because Mary's literally the nicest person in the world and she's so sweet. So fast forward, it's Christmas time, and her job is having a Christmas party. She couldn't make the party because she had to fly back home to visit her family for Christmas. And so Christmas went great, New Year's went great, she comes back to work. And the first day she comes back, she notices that the coworker isn't there anymore. So she asked somebody, she's like, oh shoot, what happened to so-and-so? She didn't come to work today? Everybody looked at her like, girl, boy, did you miss so much. She was like, what did I miss? Like, what happened? And so right then and there, one of her bosses calls her to the office. And now she's a little nervous because she's like, I wasn't even here. What could I have possibly done? And so she goes into the office with her boss. And her boss sits her down and says, I'm so sorry. She's like, what are you sorry about? Boss is like, are you okay? Like, are you feeling good? Has anything been weird for you? She's like, no. Can you tell me what's going on? So her boss starts telling her that at the Christmas party, other coworker got a little drunk. And when she found out that Mary wasn't coming, she showed her ass. She starts saying, good, I ain't want that bitch here anyway. I don't like her. She's so stuck up. She thinks she all that. She has all y'all wrapped around her finger, but she ain't full of me. She's not gonna be in this job for too long because I've been trying to get her out the picture. And so everybody's like, what do you mean get her out the picture? Mind you, she's drunk, y'all. And she's like, oh no, not like that. I'm not trying to unalive her or anything. I'm just doing voodoo on her. Everybody's like, what? What reasons do you have to do voodoo on her? Long story short, she was kicked out the party because she was so drunk. Received an email, got fired the next day. Because apparently she would bring like little voodoo stuff into work and put it in the coworkers, like in Mary's office. Like anything Mary owned, like coffee or anything, like a picture, she would try to like, for example, after the talk with the boss, Mary went to check her office, only to find that at the bottom of her door, like the corner bottom, there was a piece of paper with Mary's name on it 7 times and a little clump of Mary's hair. How did she get Mary's hair? She has no idea. And so the boss kind of explains that to her, and she's like, what the actual fuck? Mary must have been really protected because none of it worked. And she can only assume that that's why over the months she was getting meaner and meaner, because the harder she tried, it just wasn't working.
Okay, I'm going to tell y'all a story about a friend of mine and how somebody put root on her and her family. So stay tuned. Now, some of y'all might be wondering, what is root voodoo? And it's pretty much, it's just folk magic. And what they do is they conjure things, they use witchcraft, but it's more religious elements. And the practitioners of the original roots voodoo were enslaved Africans that brought it to America. And their root practices had to be kept secret from slave masters because they might have been beaten or worse, killed. And it reminds me of these things where if you don't believe in magic, you know, they can't work the root on you, but most people did believe in it. So, like, usually the root voodoo is done, like, in South Carolina, in Georgia, like that coast there, and it's called root, but it's pretty much just witchcraft. Some people do sell their souls to the devil in order to perform these curses and things. So stay tuned. So anyway, my mom had this friend, let's just say her name is Hazy, okay? And she used to go see her all the time, and she loved her so much. I think she was something like a nurse. And I don't know if we were slightly related to them or something like that, because we knew the whole family. We knew everything about them. So I don't know if we were actually related to them or we were just close family friends. So I started talking to Hazy's daughter. Let's just say her name is Bobby. And we were talking about a whole lot of stuff, and she started coming out and telling me things, because we eventually got into the paranormal, because she was trying to buy a house, and I was telling her about a house that we wanted to buy and the things that happened. And so that's how we got on the subject of like spirits and stuff. And then we got on the subject of root, because I told her what had happened to my grandfather at the time. So I had told her that somebody put root on my grandfather. They had, he had an old tub out in his yard, and they found a hat under it. Now, my great-grandfather, I meant to say, my great-grandfather, he was a great man. He went to a local college and got his college degree. He built houses for people. He had his own land. He'd make his grandkids pick cotton for him. So he was like a really great man. A lot of people were jealous of him. And so somebody put root on him, but he had to go to a root doctor to take it off. And believe me, root is very real. A lot of people don't believe it, but it is real. You don't want to mess around with anybody that knows how to do it. So anyway, my mother would go see her all the time. She was the nicest person. And her daughter Bobby would be there, and we would talk to her. And then, you know, we all just became really close friends. And so all of a sudden her mom died. I don't know how long she had been sick, but people were like speculating, well, what happened to her? She didn't seem sick. What happened? Come to find out, somebody put root on her daughter Bobby. What they did is they sprinkled something out on her back steps, and Bobby was supposed to go into the house and step in it, but she didn't. The mother stepped in it. That lady got cancer. And at first they didn't know what it was. The doctor said, we don't know what it was. They sent her all different kind of places. And I don't know if they came to the conclusion that she had cancer because they couldn't find anything else wrong. I don't know, but it was intended for Bobby. It was intended for her to, get sick. Because I know my aunt, when she lived in New Jersey, she lived in like this duplex. And the lady down from her was just the strangest acting lady. And one time she sprinkled some kind of powder down in front of her door. But because my aunt knew about, root and stuff, she stepped over it. She never actually stepped in it. And she moved. She didn't even stay there a month longer. She moved because she said she knew this lady was doing something, trying to put voodoo on her because she was jealous of her. She was young. She was beautiful. She had a nice car. And she tried to put root on her. So you have to look out for those type of people. And then I told her about how I had a friend. And I tell you this about my mother's friend. Somebody put root on her and made her sign her car over to this lady. And she drove past her. And her and her daughter was walking in the rain. And the lady drove past her waving. Because she got her to sign the title of the car over to her because she put root on her. And how she did it is she gave her a pair of shoes. And when she found out that she had put root on her, she took the shoes, she threw them in the fire, and the shoes was laying down, and all of a sudden they stood straight up. I mean, there is a possibility the fire could make them stand up, but they stood straight up, the shoes. And I don't know, she said maybe it took a step out the fire. Something weird happened with that, but I told her that story as well. So when she got sick, a friend of the family told Bobby, he said, she told exactly what happened. Somebody put root on her. Bring your mom to me and I will take it off. I will take the root off. But see, Bobby didn't believe in the root at that time, so she never did it. So Bobby also said her mother went over to these people's house and ate something that they gave her. And they put root on her that way too, because like I said, they were jealous of these people. Her grandfather owned 100 acres of land. They were just so jealous of them. And you'd be surprised what jealousy makes people do. So Bobby, she was seeing this guy at the time she got sick. She got sick. All of a sudden she had blood clots. Something was just wrong with her. She went to the hospital and the doctor's like, yeah, she should have died. She should have died. So the same person told her, bring me $600 and I will take that. And they told her what happened because she had went to the ex-boyfriend's house and they fed her. I don't know, for some reason she said, he kept saying, well, come on to the house. This is so, I know we're broken up, but come on to the house. My mom wants to see you. And that got her to go to the house and they fed her some. After that, she took ill. And the same family friend told her, what happened, that she ate something, bring me $600 and I will take the root off of you. So when you're about to die and you're desperate, you'll do anything you can. So she gave this person the $600 to take the root off her. But he said that she had to come where he was or something like that. And she's like, well, no, I can't. I'm in the hospital. And so all of a sudden he said, well, give me another $600. And she's like, I just gave you $600. I guess he figured if she could come up with $600 that quick, that she could come up with another $600. So she said no. She said she told him no. She decided to pray. She told her son to go home and get her Bible. She slept with that Bible under her pillow and she prayed. The next day when the doctors checked her, she did not have any blood clots at all. And also these people came to the church, to the hospital and anointed her from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet. And I told you this in another video. And she just recovered. and she found out that it was the ex-boyfriend that put root on her. So root is real. A lot of people don't believe it, but it's real. And a lot of people who don't understand it, that's just magic. That's not, yes, it is real. I've come across too many people. I've seen the effects of root being put on people. I've seen people that had root put on them. They did not even look like normal people. There was something off about them. It's happened in my family. I have people practicing root. It's something in the black community that they just do. In different communities, they have different things, but in this community, it's called voodoo root, or root is what they call it. Some people call it voodoo. Some people call it hoodoo. Some people call it witchcraft. But I know it as root because, like I said, I've been around it. I've seen relatives that things have happened to them. I've had friends. Like I told you about the girl, the lady at the church had gave her this multicolored shirt. And the lady couldn't stand her. She was wondering, why is this lady giving her a gift? She didn't take the gift, and then that same night she had a dream, and there was a snake, the same exact multicolored as that top she gave her. So, some people believe, some people don't believe. I mean, I've even had white friends that came to me and told me something about somebody was trying to put root on them. This one guy said that his wife wanted to make him some spaghetti, but he wasn't going to eat it because he knew that she put root on them. But because they were telling him, his friends were telling him about root and how they work it, so he was kind of a little nervous. But well, that's all for that story. Stay tuned because I'm going to post the video of the orb for you to see that.
Thank you. I truly appreciate that. Anybody looking for the egg cleanse, please report to this post. Let me say that one more time. For anybody interested in the egg cleanse, please report to this post. If you're not interested, the best thing for you would be to scroll, because please do not come in here talking about anything's demonic. Nobody's asking you. And I don't feel like going back and forth. But sometimes my ego gets in the way and then I have to. If you don't believe, if you don't participate, that's fine. Keep scrolling. But if you want the sauce, hey family, don't even worry about taking notes. I got y'all. I'm not like these other creators. I'm going to let y'all take screenshots because that's what I did. Now, what I'm about to show y'all came from a group. However, this is the same exact method that I've been using for years. I'm going to do my best to explain it as thoroughly as possible. Please pay attention. Do not ask questions that's already answered within the video. That just lets me know you didn't watch the full video. You're not going to disrespect my time like that. If you have questions that is not answered within the video, please feel free to put those in the comments. Okay, so the ingredients you want to make sure you have is a glass of water, and make sure it is a glass with water, any kind of water, an egg, and some salt. I like to use pink Himalayan salt. You can use whatever kind of sea salt that you would like. You want a white candle to call down your angels, your spirit team, your ancestors, whatever you like to call them. This is going to be to help protect your energy. The white candle is used for protection. You also want to have, this is my process, this is what I like to follow, use what resonates with you. Chili pepper flakes, black pepper, and hot sauce. Egg cleanses help you to check your current energy and your spiritual energy. Egg cleanses return to sender any nasty, negative, evil work that is being sent and done. Let me make it real clear on this part because a lot of people fail to mention. Any return to sender spells, you want to return to sender with love. And the reason being is because love is the highest vibration, the highest frequency on earth. You never want to return negative energy with negative energy. That is dark magic. So now for the process, you want to rub the egg head to toe. Make sure you get the back of your neck and the bottom of your feet. You want to crack it, put it in a glass of water. You want to read it. Add your salt for protection and the rest of your ingredients that listed after the salt. Now this next part is going to be based off of what resonates with you once again. Return to sender in the sewer outside. So some people prefer to flush it down the toilet. Some people prefer to bury it. Some people prefer to go to the crossroads with it. So again, this is just one of the many methods that I've tried before. So within the same day, you want to make sure you do it 3 times total. And then thereafter, you can do it about every 3 weeks or so, or how often you feel called to do so. When you're done with the cleanse, I would recommend to shower, change into something all white. The white is for purification and protection, remember. Use some Florida water, meditation, cover your head, lay down, vibrate to your favorite music, and you should feel amazing like it says here. So for those who like visuals, you can go ahead and take a screenshot of this. Shout out to auraleary.com. This is where the screenshot and the information came from. Okay, now this is how you read it. Make sure y'all screenshot it. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll jump around and go through some of them. So if you see figures in the yoke, that means that somebody sent you some envy. There's some envy that was sent your way. If you see nails or needle shapes, someone does not want you to succeed. Someone is working against you. If you see any coating on the yoke, someone is angering you. Red, black spots on the yoke, because a lot of people see this. Disease and illness can be detected or was sent your way. Cloudy, black, or gray yoke, evil is near. So like I said, go ahead and screenshot it and read through the rest of those. Here is another list that you can look at. And like I said, I'm not going to read all of them, but I will read through some of them. So double yoke means one of a few things. A, if you're pregnant, you're having twins. Or B, you have a twin soul somewhere out there. Or even C, your soul may have been split into two during a traumatic experience during your life. If you see cloudiness, that means unwanted energy is attached to you. If you see any cobwebs, this means you have issues with jealousy. So either someone's very jealous of you or you have very jealous negative energy on you. Remember, the purpose of the salt and like the pepper is to burn away the negative energy. If you have ever done an egg cleanse and you feel comfortable sharing your experience, please do so in the comments, because there are a lot of crazy stories about what happened to people after doing an egg cleanse. How the people that sent the negative energy were exposed, like right then and there. You'll be surprised who it is too. It's always the closest ones to you. Shout out to somebody in my comments who said some people put spells on people unintentionally, which is absolutely true. This is why it's always important to make sure that you don't have any spells or curses that were placed against you. If you real tapped in, you can just handle everything by going to the cosmos directly. The only way to do that is to sit with yourself through meditation and connect with the divine source. But I'm not going to give y'all all the information in one sitting. If you want me to go real in depth, be on the lookout for my ebooks coming soon. Remember, if this video triggered you in any kind of way, that is a you problem, because I am projecting nothing but beautiful energy. Love you. Good night.
Once you sell your soul, even death can't save you. So this is one of my followers. I'm assuming they've been following me for a while. I've told this story before, and I won't repost the video, but I will retell the story for the newcomers. So I had this great uncle. He was my grandma on my dad's side's brother, and let's just say he was involved in a lot of things that he shouldn't have been involved in. He owed the wrong people some money. He was into a lot of like voodoo stuff that he shouldn't have been involved with per se. You get it. I grew up with my grandma on my dad's side, but I used to spend the weekends at my grandma's on my mom's side. And the church that my grandma on my dad's side and I used to go to was across the street from my grandma on my mom's side. I would spend the weekend at my grandma's house from my mom's side. And on Sundays, my other grandma would come to church. We'll go to church and then we go home together. Anyways, as I'm at my grandma's house for the weekend, we get the news that my uncle passed. And I remember being like, devastated. I'm like, bro, but I was more so like sad on how am I gonna tell my grandma, like her brother just passed, her little brother just passed, like how are we gonna tell her? She's going to be devastated. Anyway, Sunday comes, we go to church, we get out of church, and if you're from Haiti, you know after church on Sundays, dinner is a big thing. So we're at my grandma's house for dinner, and my grandma is about to tell my other grandma that he passed. And I remember standing far but not too far just so I can hug my grandma if she needs it, because she's about to find out that her brother passed. And when my grandma told her, her reaction was more so like, oh, okay, as if it was to be expected. So although my grandma was sad, she knew it was going to happen eventually, because she used to talk to him all the time and tell him, like, stop doing these things, stop involving yourself in these things, stop involving yourself with these people, or you're going to have to pay the price. But he never listened. He just did whatever he wanted. Anyways, fast forward, she gets the news. She's sad about it, but we go home, and that night, in the middle of the night, well, not the middle of the night, I want to say maybe like 3 o'clock, whatever, I get woken up by screaming outside. And as I woke up and I hear the screams, I realize that's my uncle. It's my uncle screaming outside. But I'm like, how? He passed. And I get up and all I hear is, help, help. For the sake of the story, let's call my grandma Sarah. So he's outside like, help, Sarah, help me, they got me, please, help me, they got me. And as he's screaming for help, I hear whip, as if someone is whipping him. And I also hear chains. Like, he's walking around like our house, but the more he's screaming for help, the more he's being whipped, and you can hear as if he's walking in chains. And I look at my grandma, and as I'm about to like open my mouth, she closes my mouth so fast, and she's like, so I'm like, okay. And we wait until he's done. Like, he passed our house and is done. So I ended up asking my grandma, like, what was that? I thought uncle passed. And my grandma sat me down and he basically explained to me that sometimes when you're involved with the wrong people, even death can't save you. Once you pass, they might be the one to you, but once you pass, your soul is theirs. And what just happened is kind of like a humiliation type thing. They make you walk around, like, your soul, they make you walk around all of your family members knowing that they cannot help. They can't help you. You can't be helped. It's kind of like a humiliation kind of thing. And helping was for sure not an option unless we wanted to go and join him too. And once they have your soul, they can make you into anything. Y'all ever heard jokes where Haitian is like, I'll turn you into a cat? Yeah, he's probably a cat or a cow or whatever it is that they want you to be, but you're now a slave. They got you and you are now a slave to them. You can work for them as a cow, as a goat, as a cat, as a tree even. But your soul is now forever theirs. So that's the story about the time my uncle passed, but I heard his soul outside screaming for help that same night. Good night.
A lot of people walking around with curses and spells put on them and they don't even know it. Let me give y'all the sauce to figure out if somebody put a curse or a spell on you. Stop thinking that you have to go to somebody for assistance to get a reading done or divination work done just to see if there's a spell or curse on you. You are the tools. You are the key. It's just that they're more tapped in than you are at that moment. But that doesn't mean that you can't do things for yourself. So if everywhere you turn, things are just not going right, you are having issues with your health out of nowhere, like if you just literally feel like something is wrong, something is off, just go ahead and check to see if there's a spell or curse. It does not hurt anything. I'd rather know. I don't know about y'all. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to get a bowl. Fill that bowl with water. Get you 2 matches. It could be the matches that we use, those wooden matches, just as long as they're 2 matches. Put them in the bowl of water. Do not light them. If those matches stay separate, then you good. No spell work has been done against you. But if those matches touch, somebody tried to put a spell or curse on you, but it didn't work because your protection is too strong. But if those matches cross, somebody has definitely put a spell or curse on you. You can also do an egg cleanse. If you haven't heard of that, if you want more information, just let me know and I can drop a video on that. Yes, start doing things for yourself. Stop thinking you have to wait or pay your money or go meet with somebody to tell you about you. Like I told y'all in my Voodoo video, just find out what resonates with you in your culture, in your background, and participate in that. Because whether people want to admit it or not, spiritual warfare is real. I'm not scared or afraid of anything that I can see. It's the unseen that we should be concerned about. Let me know if y'all have questions and let me know y'all thoughts. Peace, love, and light, and gratitude for watching.